Never in my most far-fetched imaginings did I envision that the woman I adored, the one I trusted to always have my back, would turn me into the butt of a joke in front of others. Her words didn't just sting momentarily, they cut deeply, leaving a public scar. This betrayal unfolded within the walls of our own home, right in the warmth of our living room. It was a Friday night when my wife invited a handful of her closest friends over for an evening filled with giggles and conversation. They arrived carrying bottles of wine, platters of appetizers, and a vibrant energy that hinted at hours of animated chatter. I was glad to step back, always believing my wife deserved these moments to relax with her companions. So, I slipped into the kitchen, occupying myself with preparing a simple dinner, happy to let their voices echo through our home. As the night progressed, their laughter grew more boisterous, reverberating through the house. Each time I passed by the living room, I caught fragments of their whispered exchanges, followed by peals of laughter. At first, I dismissed it as innocent amusement. But then my name crept into their discussion. It began harmlessly, my wife poking fun at my habit of leaving the toothpaste cap off, which drew chuckles from her friends. Then she shared the story of my attempt to fix the kitchen sink, which ended in a flooded bathroom. The room filled with laughter, and I let it pass. I'm not one to take myself too seriously. But the mood shifted when one of her friends, with a mischievous grin, asked if I was as adept in all areas, given my handyman skills. My wife didn't hesitate. With a sly smirk, she glanced around and said, "Well, let's just say he comes up a little short where it matters most." The room exploded with laughter, her friends gasped, some doubled over, one nearly spilling her wine in hysterics. I stood frozen in the kitchen doorway, my heart racing, my throat constricting. For a moment, I was paralyzed. This wasn't just a playful jab, it was a betrayal, a private piece of our life twisted into a cruel punchline for her entertainment. Our eyes locked, and instead of softening or retracting her words, she gave a smug grin, as if expecting me to laugh along and brush it off. I turned back to the kitchen, my hands shaking with a mix of anger and pain. Part of me wanted to storm in, confront her, and make her feel the weight of her words. But I chose a different path. If she found pleasure in humiliating me, perhaps it was time she experienced the same. So I stayed silent, keeping my distance as the evening continued. Later, the conversation turned to relationships, partner quirks, and unspoken desires or disappointments. When the women stepped away for a brief pause, I slipped into the living room and gathered a few details my wife had always kept private from her friends. When they returned, I calmly took a seat among them, right in the heart of their circle, my demeanor steady but purposeful. My wife's expression froze in shock. She hadn't expected me to join them. One of her friends let out a nervous laugh, saying, "Well, look who's crashed the party." I smiled and began. "Tonight's been full of humor, some at my expense, and I can handle it. But since we're all being so candid, why not share a little more?" The room grew quiet. My wife's eyes widened, sensing what was coming. I started with light anecdotes, secrets she'd never revealed. Like the time she burned an entire dinner so badly the smoke alarm wailed, and I quietly ate cereal to spare her embarrassment. Or the time she accidentally sent a flirty text meant for me to her boss, and I had to pass it off as a joke to save her from humiliation. Her friends laughed, but the real moment came when I shared her most cringe-worthy memory, her attempt at karaoke during a family event, so wildly off-pitch that her cousins begged her to stop. I mimicked her over-the-top vibrato, her dramatic grip on the microphone, and the room erupted in laughter, tears rolling down their faces. My wife, however, wasn't amused. Her face reddened, her jaw clenched, her eyes glaring at me. I hadn't veered into malice. I kept it playful, steering clear of anything too intimate, but I ensured she felt the sting of being the joke. I wanted her to understand what it was like to sit there, vulnerable, while others laughed at her expense. When her friends finally left, she slammed the door and turned on me, her voice sharp. "How could you embarrass me like that?" she demanded. I met her gaze and replied, "Now you know how it feels." She tried to defend herself, claiming her comment was just a light-hearted tease, that I was blowing it out of proportion, that I should have laughed it off. But I explained there's a vast difference between playful teasing and betrayal, and she had crossed that line. That night, a heavy silence settled between us. She retreated to the bedroom, and I lay on the couch, staring into the darkness, wondering how we'd reached this point. The next morning, her tone was softer, her defenses lowered. She admitted she'd gone too far, that she hadn't anticipated my reaction, that she hadn't realized how deeply her words had hurt. Her apology was genuine, and for the first time in a long while, I saw empathy in her eyes. It didn't erase the wound or restore everything to how it was, but it was a lesson for both of us. For her, it was a reminder that respect is the foundation of our marriage. For me, it was a realization that silence isn't always strength. Sometimes you must stand up, speak out, and make it clear that even the person you love most cannot disrespect you. When people ask why I responded the way I did, I tell them this: my wife thought mocking me was funny, until my response showed her otherwise. And that moment changed everything.